If only they knew. The hub for young business minds.
Welcome back to another episode of the If Only They Knew podcast. Today, I'm joined by young entrepreneur Zakariya Benammor.
Hi
Zakariya, how are
there.
you
I'm not too bad, man. I got too eager before you even asked me how I'm doing.
doing?
I'll skip straight into it. I'm not doing too bad, man. I'm actually doing very well. Thank you very much. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Like we said just then, very busy, but I think productive, hopefully, anyway. So, yeah, should be good.
Yeah, I can imagine. With lockdown that's been going on, I think coming up to 6 weeks now, it is testing a lot of people regarding like not just their resolve to actually sustain what's going on, but just also to like remain sane, because it is testing a lot of people's sanity with a lot of stuff going on in the world, which is kind of sad. But if people believe in God or whatever fine spirit they believe in, just know that there is someone looking after everyone. And I wish everyone that is listening to this podcast is safe and sound and is actually following government guidelines.
Yeah, hopefully. I've literally been indoors, like apart from going out to run
Hmm.
at lunch and stuff like that. I've been indoors all day, every day. I think today is actually 6 weeks on the dot. So yeah, it's been a hard slog for me.
Yeah, it's been a crazy time. I feel like for a lot of people, with my job, with both my jobs actually, we were told I was told from both employers that, oh yeah, we're gonna have to go into isolation just until April. And I was like, okay, cool. It's only 2 weeks. I can deal with it. You know, I can deal with 2 weeks off and I'll still be paid for the time I'm off.
Hmm.
Boy, I was so wrong. It's now dragged on to 6 weeks now, and I'm really feeling the pressure to just maintain my health as well, because obviously the government guidelines is obviously states obviously, yeah, one exercise a day, but that just doesn't make sense for people who have hectic lifestyle. Sometimes they need to they can't even get one in, such as myself. I mean, when we met at the Millennials Club seminar last March, that was just the beginning of the peak of my business is growth for one of my businesses. And then I'd say the last 12 to 13 months have actually really shown how much the world is changing, in terms of not just what's going on, especially the back end of 2019 when the coronavirus thing started. Just in the build up to that, there was a whole bunch of things that I couldn't control by myself, and it was out of my control to actually deal with what was going on after me.
Mm. Yeah, like you said, it's been a tough time, been challenging, but hopefully, like you, and I think I, to a certain extent, hopefully everyone's just sort of, battling through it and we'll get out of it at the other end. But
Of course,
let's dive into it. Let's talk about your
no problem.
business. If you don't mind,
Right.
let's sort of keep everyone up to speed. What is your business? What do you do?
Right, cool. So regarding what I do, I actually have two businesses. The first one that I do is network marketing. I have been doing it since I was 18. I got exposed to the industry in a positive way when I was actually 16, but obviously I couldn't start it because I was quite young and I didn't really know what was going on. So I took my parents' advice, like, oh, don't do it. It's just one of them things. Yeah, people lose money. My friend this, that. So it was obviously me growing up in a Moroccan household. Parents tend to be quite skeptical because they're very old fashioned in their ways.
Mm.
But as time went on at 18, I got exposed to an opportunity where I can not only learn some new skills that I can implement in the real world, but also learn a new set of skills that can be implemented outside of work, such as like public speaking, such as like, be able to grow a network. And I've been fortunate enough the last 3 or 4 years to actually have the opportunity to work with the likes of Virgin Media, EE, Verisure, Smart Alarms, and even in America, I've had the chances to market brands such as like Vivint Home Security and brands like Sprint and Verizon,
Wow.
which from someone at the age of 18, 19 being told you can actually go to America if you want to market these services is something that just mind boggles a lot of people on a whole different scale. Rather than being an employee, I'm actually in partnership directly with these companies, and I can help people just find cheaper alternatives just to things that they're using every single day anyway. The second business is Jersey Connect, which you pretty much well know. I've been pushing really hard the last few weeks,
Yeah.
but the last week alone, I have DM'd so many people. I think I've sent over 200 DMs. I think I went from 74 subscribers to just gone past 160 at the moment. And I'm trying to get to 200 by the end of the week. Every week, I'm setting myself a target of 50 new subscribers.
Mm.
And the fact I've surpassed it within my first 7 days just says a lot, that people will subscribe if you actually just go out there and talk to them. and it's great for my YouTube channel because it's allowing me to showcase the products I'm able to sell to people, such as sports kits. I basically sell the excess that other suppliers can't provide. So football kits like Man United, the team I support, you can get West Ham kits, you can get Barcelona kits, you can get PSG kits. And then there's also basketball jerseys like the Los Angeles Lakers. You can also get the Miami Heat. You can also get Boston Celtics. These are just some of the iconic teams and from sports that people recognize instantly when I tell them. And I feel like for me, it's actually given me an opportunity to actually start my own business from scratch. And it's actually taught me the last, coming up to 2 years now, it would have taught me so much in terms of myself and how to actually become a better businessman. I feel like once you give yourself the chance to learn a new skill, I think it makes it easier for you to become a better entrepreneur in the long run, because then you learn new skills that you can implement to other industries, such as like property, investments, stocks and all that stuff.
That's a really good point. Before we get into sort of the nitty gritty of where you are now, I'd like to
Yeah.
rewind the clocks a bit. You talked about learning there. I was going to talk about experience, but I think let's go a step before that and talk about your sort of academic life. Like, how was life like growing up for you, and how was school like? Was you good at school? Was you bad at school? If you don't mind going into that, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I feel like with school, it was a bit of a unique one. See, I wasn't the most popular kid in terms of like the environment I was in. I went to a school that was primarily of a Bangladeshi ethnicity in a borough that's like 40% Bangladeshi. And for me, I felt left out because whenever people would be talking in their own language, I didn't have that opportunity to do so. All I could speak to other people was English. And for me to actually speak Arabic at home was the only kind of like freedom I got. But thankfully, do have strict parents, but now they've kind of just like relaxed now. But up until the age of 18, I think my mum and my dad, my mum in particular, really, really emphasized for me to make sure that not only am I studying really well, but I'm also staying on top of anything that I'm doing. I was always asking for extra work just to make sure I've done well. I'm proud to say that I've actually got 11 GCSEs. I do have 3 A levels to my name, and I've also got my degree as well. So it's a big stepping stone for me to actually be confident enough to look back on all these years that, like, 11, 12 years ago, I was a year 7 kid with that rucksack that was way bigger than me and shouldn't have been worn on my back. But it was a very monumentous achievement to look back. Once that uni was done, I was like, wow, I've actually finished the entire education system all in one go.
It is quite mad. Like, I was just, as you were talking there, I was thinking back on my sort of experience, and I think I'm pretty much on the same path. I think I got 11 GCSEs, A levels, and then went to uni as well. But something I sort of found, or felt rather, back then, and I don't know whether you felt it, was just that sort of feeling. You sort of touched upon it, like, oh, is this worth it? Like, should I go? Should I do the A levels? Should I then go on to uni? Like, how was you sort of feeling at the time? What was your plans?
I knew once I got into college, I was like, cool, I'm gonna finish A levels, and I kept pleading with my mum once college was over, please, mum, let me just take a gap here. Let me get some work experience, because in the real world, I'm going to need it when the time comes. She goes, no, you have to go to uni. This is how people get good jobs. I was like, okay, cool. Now, usually I only take advice from people who have what I want. I don't take it from people that don't have what I want. So to take what I want, obviously, my mum said, go to college, because she went college. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. But in terms of university, she pushed me to go, even though she never went, because 20 plus years ago, my mum and my dad migrated here to build a better life for me and my siblings, and to just help us become, better citizens, not just to our world, but to our communities, and to show family back home in Morocco that, we're very positive and we're very ambitious over here in Europe. I feel like in terms of the part where it wasn't where I felt like I was going to quit, I think it was my 3rd year of uni. I think it was like 3 months into doing my dissertation. I was just like, is this really worth it at the end of the day to get a piece of paper to tell me I've got a degree now, but with no experience in the background to show for it? And that was where I was just contemplating. I was even telling my best friends at the time, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I feel like I'm just going to drop out and probably restart again next year when I'm more social, like mentally stable and more confident in myself. After having that talk with them, I feel like they've actually given me the platform to not just trust myself, but also trust the people I'm surrounded by to be there for me when it matters most. And thankfully, because of them, I was actually able to complete my degree and, you know, give the opportunity to, you know, be going back home and tell people back home that I've got this. If you really put the, you know, the grit and grind into everything you do, you're going to achieve what you want.
Yeah, exactly. That is so true. And it was a good point you made there about people sort of falling out of uni. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
when I joined, like we had obviously a full class, and then
Mm-hmm.
after a couple of weeks go by, like one person will sort of stop attending. Then after a
Yeah,
couple of months, someone will drop out, and you sort of, in terms of when you first started uni on the first day compared to
yeah,
who's there with you on the final day, it's a massive
yeah.
difference. I don't know whether you
It
had
really,
that as well.
it really was. I feel
Mm.
like for uni, it was a very different dynamic. I think I can remember that when I started uni, I had 20 friends. Now I put posh speech marks here because you would think they would be there for you, but um, when things do hit the fan, obviously I'm going to try and refrain from swearing because I know it's, you know, it's a podcast as well. But it's just a sense of professionalism as well, just to not swear. Obviously in the working environment, it's a little bit different, but sometimes on podcasts, I feel like obviously Gary Vaynerchuk's a different breed, but he's
Yeah,
someone I aspire to be. But
yeah,
I listened to his curse-free version for a reason, just to like kind of, you know, condition myself to believe that I can speak my mind without, you know, swearing, even though it is kind of more emphatic in a way.
yeah.
But by the time first year was done, I think my course went from 200 students to 70 by the end of the second year.
Wow.
And the 70 that actually did it, only 65 of us graduated, like officially graduated. 5 had to actually be told to resit the year,
No
or
way.
and it was sad for them because I was cool with one of the ones who had to resit, and he was like, "Do you know what? I'll do it." He ended up doing it, ended up leaving with a first as a result, even though he failed. Because what he did, he picked up extra modules from first and second year just to give himself a credit boost because he
Good.
fell short of there's a credit requirement to get a degree, and he fell quite a lot. Like no, I thought it was quite short. It was a lot of credits that he missed out on. So he picked up 2 modules from his first year, 2 modules from his second year, and he did it with his dissertation. He got a first in his, he ended up with a 2-1 overall. So I respect him so much.
That's so good.
Um, and it was just like, it goes to show that even he was probably the only example that I remember back in uni that he doesn't give up at the first obstacle, which is what I feel like a lot of people that do go uni, obviously with me being only 22, I can understand what people who have been to university feel. The stresses of not having enough support. Sometimes lecturers don't really answer your questions. Sometimes you've got classmates that are very reluctant to help you or work with you in group projects. I mean, we could probably speak from experience. There were probably group assignments that you just didn't want to do. You just had to do it for the sake of the grade.
Yeah, exactly. It's so annoying. Like whenever you get the inkling that the lecturer is going to say this is a group assignment, like in my body, I was just thinking, oh my god.
As your body just goes,
Yeah, literally just deflate.
why me? Why now? Why can't I just work by myself?
Yeah, exactly that. And like our class was full of the. It was full of like middle-aged people. I put it that way. Like the majority of the
Okay.
class, about 3/4 of the class, were middle-aged,
Mm,
and just didn't get the culture at all. Like just in
yeah.
terms of because I did business and marketing, so like the young marketing, English business culture, like everything that's sort of urban almost, everything that
Yeah.
sort of was anything to do with that resonated with that.
Okay.
They just didn't get it at all. So like
Yeah.
for me to then be put in their group when there was such a big age difference, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like I feel like I'm trying to
I
like
can imagine.
babysit
I can
them.
imagine.
Yeah, it's
Luckily for
horrible.
me, you see, you had that age group, age gap. You see, with your classmates, was it predominantly male or female?
Uh, you know what? I know this is a cop out, but I think it was pretty much split. And I know that sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm literally thinking. I was like, I'm trying to
No,
work
no,
it
no.
out.
I can look. Trust me, I can
Mm,
understand. Let me tell you this. My
mm.
university, my course was 90% female.
Wow.
Yeah, journalism in terms of a course in general, you see
Mm,
a lot more female students actually studying that course because they want to be able to voice their opinions on topics like feminism,
mm.
unemployment, the payment aid, the payment gap between men and women in the real world. a whole bunch of other socioeconomic issues, and I feel like it's right for them. But what I've witnessed is that they have a lot more drive to actually succeed in that field rather than men. Men can, like, as far based on my experience, men can easily change their choice of career and change their passion quite regularly, because that was me. I'm speaking from my experience. I don't know about the rest of the world of men, but based on the people I've come across, they have had the ability, they have had the notions where they've 1 year they think, oh, okay, cool, I'm just gonna go work in car sales. They do that, then they get bored, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go sell properties. They do that for a couple of years and then get bored and then just move on. They just bounce from place to place to place with no real, centered focus on in terms of their career. Whereas the girls I remember from my class, I would say 90% of them have actually now got freelance roles, because journalism does start out freelance until you land a big role. Because and another thing as well, a lot of the girls in my class were of an English or a European background, so they sort of had an advantage over the girls who were of an Afro-Caribbean background or of an Asian background, because I feel like the media itself is depicted in a way. I mean, I'll be honest, if I was to ask you this question, you have to answer it truthfully. When was the last time you saw an ethnic minority person leading a major news report about politics, about sports, about, I don't know, finances, anything like that? If you can name me one, I'll salute the person. But most of the times when I ask this question, no one can give me a straight answer.
Yeah, no, it is very difficult, especially on like the main like on the TV. When you walk into the front room and the TV's on, it'll always be an old white guy or like a middle-aged white woman with like bobbed hair.
Exactly.
Like, there's always like the same sort of archetype. The only ethnic minority I know, and I only know him because of through LinkedIn. I think his name's Antoine Allen, and he worked for
Okay.
ITV, I think it is. But
Okay.
he not specifically, but he mainly covers like sports and more like urban topics. So it feels like he's sort of been. He may not have been. I'm speaking out of term here, but it seems like he's been picked to cover the urban topics because he's like urban. It does seem like that. But yeah, you're right. On the TV, it's like older white people.
I feel like there's a lot of things. I guarantee if you have a lot more people hosting this morning that are not just Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby or Eamon and Ruth, if you get other genuine people, if you get character personalities like Ovi, if you get people like Young Philly, Chunks, obviously with the drama that's been going on Twitter with them lot, obviously it's a little bit different. But had that been prior, they would have actually, because obviously Young Philly's got his own show on BBC Three. Chunks is famous now based off YouTube and Instagram. You got the likes of KSI, who went from 9 years of straight gaming videos into creating, just music. He does boxing now. Every ethnic minority celebrity that's out there has branched out into so many different avenues. It speaks volumes, and it gives hope to the ones who actually want to pursue a career of, being a social media influencer or being a celebrity or becoming a national household name. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's true, and I think it extends probably beyond race, I think, and gender even. I think it is just sort of young people. I would mostly sort of pinpoint it to like young Londoners, but maybe I'm being biased because I'm a young Londoner myself. But I feel like there is.
I'm in the same boat as you. We're both young Londoners, but I feel like I think a lot of the times, people who want to become successful, they see London in terms of the safe haven in Europe, because it's where a lot of opportunities are. Like if you really look at the numbers, like London alone is just shy of 9 million people in population. That speaks crazy volume. People think, oh, how can 9 million people fill up London? Trust me, London is bigger than we think.
Yeah,
like you think, oh, zones 1 to 4 is London. Anything outside of that doesn't count. Listen, I say anything reachable by TfL is London.
Yeah.
Anything reachable by National Rail that allows you to use an Oyster card, it's London.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like what people should take from the stories of like KSI, from the likes of Maya Jama, from the likes of Jamila Jamil, the likes of there's a whole bunch of people I can name. But what they should take from these people is that there's 2 things they've done. They've persevered through adversity, and they've built a global brand by being genuine. that's the best advice I can give anyone who wants to go out there and make themselves a global brand. Because what I've realized in this modern day and age, if you don't have a brand, people will not recognize you. You'll just be any regular employee that will be shifted from job to job to job until the day you die. The minute you become a global brand, people will recognize you off until the face of the earth, until whenever. Like, look at the likes of Kobe. Kobe's passed away 3 months ago, may obviously rest in peace, but people still speak about him to this day. His legacy, because he was only 42, 43 when he passed away. So like his legacy, his career, his contributions off the court, his charity, his daughters and their talent that they had and stuff like that. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, another good point with the fact that young people are almost, in a sense, determining what the older generation, in terms of the people we were just talking about then, the people that sort of control the media to an extent, I guess more the social media. I feel like young people are having so much more of an influence on what the older people decide to put out. So I think with the likes of KSI, young people said, okay, this is someone who's funny on YouTube. And then the older people then said, okay, the young people like this guy, let's put him on a pedestal and we can sort of get him from different angles. Now he's doing music, he does the YouTube, obviously. He's been in a few like films, I think like YouTube films, but he does a lot. So I feel like young people, like you said, we're so powerful. Like if we decide to make somebody based off their personal brand, like an icon or a celebrity or influencer, the older people snap him up or snap her up, and they will be put on such a pedestal and be in the mainstream media. And I think Stormzy is a good example of that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like with Stormzy's message at the Brits and Dave as well, I think Dave's performance at the Brits just spoke volume in unprecedented ways that wasn't expected. Obviously, a lot of people were saying, there were a lot of complaints sent to Ofcom, who regulate the media.
Yeah, I bet.
And Ofcom just turned around and said he's allowed to say what he wants. Just because he's a skin color shouldn't determine his political views or his orientation with stuff, with whatever's going on. Because at the end of the day, there is freedom of speech to an extent, because there is things that do get controlled in the media. And I think that's what put me off from chasing politics and law and general affairs in terms of a career. And as I was approaching the end of my second and third, going into my third year, I was like, no matter what I do, I will always speak about sports as my favorite thing in terms of the world of journalism. And people say, oh, how are you going to utilize your degree if you don't work for a journalism company? What people do not understand is that YouTube is now journalism in a way, because we're now even if I go watch, basketball highlights or old football compilation videos of, skills of Ronaldo when he was still at Man United, but below them, you just see COVID updates, not even by force. YouTube just placed it there as some strategic placement for people to stay in the loop with what's going on, because they know a lot of people's intake of social media comes from 3 platforms: Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and in that order. Because people say, oh, Twitter's not really a great app. From personal experience, Twitter is a great way to connect with people from all over the world that can help promote your brand, just, build new friendships, build new business connections. There's a plethora of opportunity out there on all social media platforms if you know how to utilize it correctly.
Exactly. It's very powerful to think that, like I said earlier, the young people are powerful, but then like you mentioned there, the platforms that young people have are also so powerful. So in a sense, it makes me think, what is stopping us from achieving whatever we want? What's stopping the next KSI from coming out, the next Stormzy? What is it?
I feel like with people who are they're trying to become the next KSI, the next Stormzy, what they need to understand is that it does take dedication and hard work. You see, I feel like because it's gone past 6 o'clock and I scheduled my new YouTube video to be dropped at 6 o'clock on YouTube. So obviously, for me, the best way, I was going through YouTube Creator Academy. People have to put in the work when you don't have that many subscribers now. Because honestly, you can't expect it overnight to hit 10 million subscribers and become a successful YouTuber and get paid millions of ad revenue and stuff like that from YouTube. Because the way it is, I think there was a YouTuber that broke down how you get paid. There's some videos, a lot of videos do get millions and millions of views for her channel, but one video only made $700 and another made $5,000 just because of ad placement.
Mm.
Do you see the difference? It doesn't matter what you put out there. It just depends on what companies are adverts are relevantly placed on your thing, and it always links back to your content. So I feel like for people to become the next KSI or the next Stormzy or the next Gigi Hadid, or in terms of modeling, you have to put in the work now when no one is looking. You just keep putting in the work, because the minute the right person recognizes you, I promise you're going to achieve an abundance of success,
Mm.
and you're going to become the household name. Because people didn't know Stormzy was, dropping rap mixtapes on the old YouTube format back in 2009, 2010. And the minute he made the Shut Up freestyle in the park in Croydon in 2014, Adidas gave him a signing. They signed him to the brand, and they gave him free merchandise. He then started his own record company within what I think he's with Universal or whatever label he's with. But he started with his own label, Mercury Records. So I mean, to think of it like that, he's built from 2009 until now. He had a small fan base when he started, but until he blew up, and then that's different. The last 5 years, Stormzy, Dave is the last 2 or 3 years, but Stormzy, you've got Krypton Conan, you've got Dave, you've got Jay Huss. They're the ones who've actually kind of spearheaded British rap grime music in terms of what is now gone on into the to the masses of social media for people to consume.
Definitely, and I think a lot of people are aspiring to be rappers and YouTubers, which makes me want to ask you, what did you aspire to be when you was younger? Because you're pretty much the same age as me, and I don't remember YouTube. Like, I don't remember YouTube being that big, and I don't remember wanting to be a YouTuber and stuff like that. So what
Exactly.
what was it you wanted to be when you was younger?
So when I grew up, initially, like most boys, when they start kicking the football, I'm gonna become a footballer.
Yeah.
So I had dreams of becoming a footballer, but then when I went into secondary school, I realized I wasn't really good enough. I realized my talent. I wasn't willing to put in the work that was required. And obviously, my dad and my mum always specified that I always go to study. So I just followed the academic route. By the time I was in year 9, I was like, cool, I want to work in finance and work with money. And by the time I had my first media studies lesson, I enjoyed it so much. I turned to the teacher and I told him, in 3 to 4 years, you're going to see me back here as an 18-year-old man telling you he's going to study journalism. And that's what happened. I went back to my old secondary school some years ago. I gave a little speech to about 200 year 7s, just telling them to follow their dreams, because anything's possible. And then eventually, this is the crazy part. By the end of second year, I fell out of the passion of going for journalism and ended up becoming more business oriented, because I realized with businesses, with working with the brands like Virgin and EE, and also working with having my own business as soon as I left uni, my own personal brand that I built from scratch, like natural organic growth. It doesn't have many followers on Instagram, not many subscribers on YouTube, and not many followers on Twitter, but it's just pure organic growth that I'm pushing out there. I feel like that way it just means a lot more when a person likes a picture, or they like a video, or they like your tweet and they retweet it. It just hits home a lot harder, because you actually can turn around and say, I worked for this so hard all my life to get that recognition that was well deserved. And I feel like, thankfully, because of one of the series that I have on my YouTube channel, it's called the Premier League Roundup, where every week I would speak about, this is before Corona, I would speak about the Premier League results, give my personal take, just be genuine from the heart, and just showcase my energy when it comes to talking about sports. And I feel like that was the breakthrough of my confidence, just reaching a new level, because I'm now able to do what I studied in journalism, but also do it in a field where I love it the most. Do you see where I'm going? So I think for me, it was a great opportunity to do both things. And I feel like for me, it's now my plan in the next few years is to get as many subscribers as possible, many Instagram followers as possible, become verified on YouTube and Instagram. And the day I hit that, I'm gonna probably break down in tears, and I'm probably gonna, just go scream from the rooftops, I made it, and something like, or something along those lines, because it's a sense of achievement that you've actually worked in day and night for this, whilst doing whatever you're doing in your day job.
I think, yeah, definitely. I think passion is a big part of it. And like you said, if you are really passionate about your business or even just your project, every little step that happens is going to be like wow, like this is amazing. Like no matter what it is, even if you get one new subscriber and you go there,
Yeah,
you then go 2 subscribers, you're like, oh my God, I got 2 subscribers. Like, I wonder who they are. And then you just go from there. And I think it's almost looking back after a few years, that whole process probably seems so seamless and like one big transition, because it just
yeah,
feels so natural. Like you take every day as it comes. You're not sort of thinking, oh God, where am I going to be in 5 years? You're just enjoying the
yeah.
moment.
I think that's what stops a lot of people from pursuing their dreams. I feel like when they don't see a lot of people have been led to lead a fake life
Mm.
based on what they see on Instagram, all these adverts of like, oh yeah, I made $10,000 a month just selling this. And people are thinking, I'm thinking, okay, cool, that's fine. But the thing is, what people need to understand is that you need to put in the work, even when there's no turn of events. Like for me, I think I from when this year started, I went from 40 to about 70 subscribers in 3 months.
Mm.
The fact that I've done triple, I've doubled my subscribers and then some in the space of a week shows a lot. I feel like if I continue this work ethic for long enough, I will become to that stage where I can begin to get paid off YouTube revenue, just a whole bunch of things that will allow me to diversify how I get paid. Because a lot of people think, genuinely, like if you ask people what's passive income or what's online or like residual income, people would say, oh, what is that? They won't know if they don't know about it. All they know is, oh, the only thing I know about is getting a paycheck at the end of the month, and then the next month, the beginning of next month, I have to pay all my bills.
Yeah.
Do you see what a lot of people? That was another wake up call. One time I woke up, I got a paycheck from one of my jobs that I was working whilst in uni. The day after, I saw nearly half of that disappear on bills. I was shocked. Imagine at 19 years old, you work so hard for so long to only then see your money just disappear.
Like that as
Like
well. Like
half your money just like overnight, you just see like, £50 to your phone bill, £50 to this, £100 to that. I was like, where is this money going?
it is.
So
It's quite scary though when you think about it. Like literally the day after you get paid, like you said, it's just gone.
yeah, and I feel like a lot of people don't prepare ahead financially as well, because you can prepare ahead in terms of goals and aspirations, but you also need to prepare ahead financially. I feel like that's an important thing, because the greats of like the geniuses of the UK market in terms of investment, like Joseph Valente that was on your show a couple of weeks back, who else can I give an example? Alan Sugar, Theo Paphitis, what's his other, Peter Jones, for example, all these guys that were famous of all these TV shows and stuff like that. If you really look at the way they did, they don't just plan ahead in terms of business, but they actually have a financial plan of where they want to be in 1 month's time, 6 months' time, 12 months, 5 years, 10 years. They've got a plan of where they want to go. And that's what people nowadays are kind of reluctant to do so, if it can be thought of like that.
Mm.
Because if I genuinely, I'm being honest, if I look at my circle now and I look at my circle 3-4 years ago, if I stayed in the circle I was 3-4 years ago, I promise you I wouldn't be able to have the confidence to come on your podcast and talk about my life. I really wouldn't. I'll be too shy. I'll be too secluded within myself, and I'll be too nervous to, share some personal information with a bunch of people that I've never even met before. And it's very shocking that people aren't brave enough. And there's literally, the world is your oyster. People need to learn and be confident to just grab the bull by the horns, or grab it by the scruff of the neck, and just go for it. Because if you don't go for it and you get to the time where you're about to, you're going to pass away and you're going to go back to meet your creator, you're going to have to ask yourself, why didn't I do X thing in 2025? Why didn't I do this in 2010? You're going to always live with that regret. And that's the craziest thing about this world. A lot of people die not fearing death, but fearing what they didn't do whilst they were alive, which is a crazy thing that I've actually been able to grasp a lot more deeper since 2020 began, especially with the way this virus has made everything, the whole dynamic of the world has just completely changed.
Well, I'm glad I have you on today, because I was just thinking then, like every person I speak to, there's sort of a consensus that everyone's saying a very similar message, and it keeps me on my toes, because every other day when I speak to someone new, they always say, like, make sure you just go out there, put it all on the line every single day if you can, risk it all, because the worst thing that's
Mhm.
going to happen is that you're going to stay in the same position if you don't do something. So they're like,
Yeah.
just, you know what, put it on the line, put your neck on the line, go out there and
Mhm.
smash it. But it seems like you're smashing it so far. I know you're in the early position, but it seems like you're doing well.
I do appreciate it, and I feel right now. I don't think I've put everything on the line yet, and I
Mm.
don't plan to. There's a reason why, because what people need to understand is that until what you're doing can like, there was this post I saw on Instagram, and I think I put it on my story as well. There's a post that states, "Do not quit your job until you can make 2 months' salary in 1 month for 12 months solid." So you basically double your salary within a year. So you get paid your salary and then get paid your salary again, but from whatever other income that you do. You've also got to make sure that you can cover your expenses for at least 12 to 24 months, because a lot of people think, oh, bills are going to come. People don't understand. £100 a month on like, council tax, or like £65 to £100 on a phone bill, which is the average phone bill in the UK. It's crazy. People think that this thing here is about, it costs about £50 to £100 a month just to use a phone like this. It's
Mm.
crazy. And that's the fact that people don't understand that small amounts add up over time. It's going to put them in a very difficult position financially when, the, if like, because there's predictions a recession is going to happen based on the way the virus has been going the last few months. I hope it doesn't come to that, but thankfully that if it does, I have prepared to pay enough bills for the rest of the year, at least as the bare minimum. And obviously, with a lot of hard work and determination, I'll be able to have 3-4 years worth of bills just sorted. So if I lost my job, let's say tomorrow, I would still be fine because I've got businesses that can pay my bills. Do you
Mm.
see where I'm going?
Yeah.
People don't plan ahead, and obviously, I'm tactical with how I talk about future plans, because people say throw your neck on the line. Okay, cool, that's fine, but be prepared to lose it just like that. That's what people need to understand. If you're gonna chuck it all on the line, just be prepared to lose it within a snap of fingers, like Thanos.
No, you're definitely right. Like, I think you do have to be prepared, and I think, yeah, you're right. I'm glad you sort of corrected me there, because I don't want people to listen to that and say,
Yeah,
oh crap, like I haven't, but I've still got like £2,000 in my bank. I need to put it all on the line. Like, I need to invest in something, and I need to go out there and risk it. Like, you don't go, like, live within
nah,
the means. Like, I'm a big believer of that. Like, live like
yeah, of course.
in your little bubble, and sort of make sure, like you said, you're secure, financially secure, physically secure, before you sort of risk anything else other than that. I just want to be clear on that one.
No, of course, and it's good. It's good as well. Like, a lot of people think, oh, I've got £2,000 in the bank. Should I invest it all into stocks and then hope to get my money back, or should I just be safe and just pay bills for the rest of the time being? I would honestly tell you, choose option B.
Mm.
Reason being, it's a safer option and it doesn't put your financial situation at risk. Especially if you're someone who has a mortgage, you have family, you have kids, or you're a carer of someone, and your main source of income is what looks after the person you're caring for. So I feel like you just have to be very careful in these times. Like, I think I've cut down my monthly expenses by like 50 to 60%. I
Wow.
used to spend about, I'd say, half my salary and half my profits from both businesses in order to sustain myself based on bills and going out. But I've cut out things that weren't really necessary to me, that wasn't really adding much value. Like, so gym, for example. I was a goer of the gym regularly, but the only reason I cut it out is because it wasn't a necessary expense that I needed to actually pay
Mm.
to the gym. Like, anyone can, the thing is, you can always go back to the gym. You can't always go back to pay rent though. If you don't pay rent that month, it's just going to add on to the next month, and it'll just be more harder to pay off, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like people don't understand the severity of the way this virus has actually impacted business owners. If a lot of things as well, like for example, Primark, there was an article that was published like 1 or 2 weeks ago. They were averaging £650 million in sales just in Europe alone. Or not in Europe, in the world alone, sorry,
Mm.
forgive me. But then within 4 weeks of coronavirus happening, and they're still shutting, zero. They have made zero since that time, since they've shut down all their shops because of the coronavirus, which is it. And then you're looking at brands like Boohoo Man, Pretty Little Thing, all these brands that are out there just making so much money because their items are cheap. they're based online. Everything will eventually move online, even jobs. Even my job that I'm doing at the moment in central London as a junior clerk, it will eventually be replaced by a robot. I don't know when, but it will be, because everything's shifting online anyway. We use an online system to book cases. They told me 15 years ago we used to use pen and paper, and the computer was only for emails. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
is that how far technology has come
Yeah,
now?
exactly. It puts it into perspective, doesn't it? You're like, oh, okay, like this how far we've actually come. So in a couple of years' time, like how far will we go again? But I think
Yeah,
that's a strong point. You mentioned Joseph Valente earlier, and he also talked about what you just spoke about there, about thinking ahead. Like, make sure you sort of, like you said, you're aware of your finances, you're aware of your physical condition. You know you've got a house, you know you've got a rent to pay for that house, and he
yeah,
sort of said, like, make sure you can sort of see into the future, but be careful with your steps. But he
yeah,
literally he knew everything. Like, he knew that he was going to go into The Apprentice. He knew he was going to win it. Like, the things he sort of manifested in a sense was just
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. It's just that stuff like self affirmations. Because I always said to myself, if one day I'll be blessed if I can own one, like many businesses. If anything, I'd just be happy if I can own just one. And by the grace of God, I was actually blessed to be given two opportunities that have allowed me to make money outside of my day job, and pay me for the service, like pay me for the work I'm actually putting in, which is actually a great feeling. And a lot of people say, oh, but you only get paid X amount a month. When I tell them that X amount a month covers my bills, then you can tell me what I should do with my life. Because I feel like there's a thing that there was one of my mentors who's a very successful individual in the world of network marketing. He said this very key phrase when I first started back in late 2015, but it hit harder in 2016 because he said it again to me. He's like, never take advice from someone you will never trade places with financially. So if I was to tell you, let's go make £1 million, but I've never made £1 million, are we gonna make £1 million?
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably not. But
Yeah.
if Alan Sugar told you, let's go make £250,000, you would be able to make it because he's built that platform to do so.
Yeah, exactly. You sort of
You
touched
see
upon,
what?
you touched upon something similar earlier when you said, like, you don't really take advice from people who sort of haven't done it, or at least experienced or seen it themselves. And I think
Yeah.
that is a very good point in itself.
I feel like at that point, it doesn't apply just to finances, but just life in general.
Mm.
Like, you're going to ask someone, oh, what's America like? You're going to ask someone who's only been to Wales and only been to Cornwall. They're not really going to give you the best advice in terms of what America is like. Whereas this is where social media comes in handy. If you meet people from, like, I've met people from Florida, from Texas, from California, Seattle, from Washington, like where the Seattle Space Needle is, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. Where else have I met? From Georgia, Atlanta. All these, I've met people from all types of states, and they've said to me, if you want to come to America, you can do this in this city, you can do this in that city, you can do this in that city. And they always tell me, if I'm going to come here, even if I'm going to come here only for a week, plan yourself to spend like you're going to be there for 3 to 4 weeks, because apparently there, the cost of living is much higher than people perceive, especially when it comes to tourists staying in hotels and spending money on attractions, because you just get like free. It's like free willy nilly. You just start spending dollars here, like you're just throwing it around like it's nothing, because you want the experience of being in America. I was supposed to plan my plan. Hopefully the virus does die down and I do get to do this. My plan was to actually go to LA and meet a friend I made through Twitter over there, because they're based in the UK, but they've moved to LA some years ago, and I just wanted to go out there, experience the vibes there for like 10 to 12 days, just to know what it's like living in LA, and just see where I could potentially go in terms of property investments over there, so I can learn what property markets are like in other countries, just to make more money. But it's not just a selfish reason why I'm doing it. It's also because I don't want to be in a situation where my kids in the future don't struggle, don't have to worry about finances in the future. Like, if they wanted to go football on Saturdays with this team, and the subscription fee costs like £30 a month to go, and they have to pay like £90 for a membership, and also get kit and stuff like that. I want to be able to tell my son or my daughter, like, listen, dad can go get this for you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the big thing. Like, looking that far ahead, I think is a very, very positive thing for young people to do. And last few questions, if you don't mind, what are
Yeah,
some of
sure.
the other plans? Like, I feel like it's always good to look at
Mhm.
where someone it was, where someone is, and then what they're looking to sort of achieve in the future, so we can try and keep track.
Yeah, of course. So where someone was 5 years ago, didn't really have much business experience, but thankfully I started my first business at 18, my second business at 21. I do want to get into property some point in the next decade or so. The reason why I say decade, because it is quite expensive to buy a property in London, but my target is probably to buy at least 1 or 2 properties just on the outskirts, just to, generate some money for myself.
Mm.
And also I want to be able to maybe, if because I like food so much, I don't know, buy a franchise of Nando's. It's one of my dreams, and that was one of my dreams growing up. I was like, let me just buy a Nando's franchise, because then that way I can get free food whenever I like. And Nando's it's a good chain to invest in, but you need to find the right place to it, because you can't slap it in the middle of the M25 where people are just driving 70 miles an hour not giving a damn.
Yeah.
You've got to place it somewhere where it's busy. It can get the footfall every year. And if you look at your expenses and your net income, your gross income, your profit will give you margin to not only pay your staff, but still take something for yourself that you can give back to stuff like charities. You can give stuff to your local community. You can treat your staff to staff days out once in a while, stuff like that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Last hard-hitting question, and then we'll sort of I'll give you like the floor to sort of talk about anything else afterwards. But the last hard-hitting one from me. We've spoken a lot about your timeline and where you want to be, but when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be at the end of it all?
Because I heard this question on your podcast before, but I was thinking I could answer that. Now the questions come, I'm like, I don't know what to say. I feel like with my legacy, I want to be remembered as someone who was true to the words that I've said, and someone who was always known as the go-to guy in terms of negative, like just positive, like positive motivation, and also be like the best relative I can be to my family and to my future in-laws and stuff like that. I want to be able to build that platform for myself, and then also have the opportunity for my kids. So when they go to talk to their friends, oh, my dad used to do this, this, and this. He used to help out so many people. So many people loved him. He was recognized on this book and like Forbes magazine, what else is that? Other periodicals, GQ, I don't know, because I like suits. So if I get a suit cover from being a successful businessman on GQ, then I'll be so happy for it.
Yeah.
But it's just one of them ones where like there's so many to delve into, but the two main things I would say, I want to be remembered for being a great person and like an honest person, and I also want to be remembered for being the best Muslim I can be, because obviously I'm a Muslim myself. So growing up in Islam, there's a lot of life lessons that you learn just from being a Muslim, and you implement them in the real world, and it actually helps you in ways that you don't understand. Because like believing in God is powerful. Whether you believe in God or not, that's down to you. But personally, I'm someone who does believe in God, and I do believe prayer does go a long way in ways you do not even fathom could be ever possible. Like I told myself, I prayed 5 years ago, can I please get a second business? We're here at the day where I've got a second business that I thought would have happened in my mid-40s. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I think those two things are the key things for me to be remembered by in terms of legacy.
Final thing then, the floor is yours. If you have any messages you want to give to the young people out there, or anything you want them to go do, or your website, stuff like that, any apps, any mentions, let them know.
Okay, cool. So regarding some messages, please, young people from the ages of 16 to 25, please don't buy into a fake lifestyle that you see on social media. There are a lot of people running all these adverts that seem genuine, and they seem real, but then you turn around and you look at yourself and like, oh, I lost X amount of money. Just please do your due diligence with whatever you do. In terms of mentions, my new YouTube video is out. When the podcast is released, and obviously if the video does go into YouTube, because I believe you do post it onto YouTube as well, the channel that will be there, just go to the channel, give it a subscribe, have a look at the content that I'm producing. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, turn on your notifications as well, because the first season of running my YouTube channel is coming to an end. It is going to end about mid-June, because I'm going to be planning and preparing for the next season, which will begin in mid-July, which is when the first season began. So that 1 month that I'm not gonna, I'll be producing content weekly still after that, but in terms of, it won't be related to anything to do with Jersey Connect. It'll probably just be some lifestyle vlogs of, you know, traveling around London, probably buying, I don't know, if I'm richer by then, probably buy some £500 trainers that I'm never really gonna wear. Just something like that. And follow the Instagram, my personal Instagram as well. I'll give it to Ted. He'll give it to you guys to have a look at. Follow my personal, my business Instagram is linked to it as well. And yeah, if there's any further questions, please guys, do not hesitate to contact me. I'm more than welcome to give you an answer. It may not be prompt as most of the time, but do bear with me that because it's getting a lot busier now with business and work, I will be able to try my best to get back to you guys as soon as possible and try to give the best, honest, impartial advice to help you, I don't know, prepare yourself to God knows where you want to be in the next 5-10 years.
And on that fantastic note, it's been a pleasure. It's been great to talk to you. We've spoken a lot, and I think a lot of young people listening to this will relate and most importantly, get some value for it. So thank you very much.
No worries. I hope I've managed to add some value to the young people that do listen to the podcast. Because if only they knew where they would be in 5 years, they would be busting their backsides right now to get to that place even quicker.
Exactly that. All right. Thank you very much, mate. It's all the best. Enjoy.
No worries, man. Take care.
If only they knew, the hub for young business minds.